Call or visit us today. Warner Hospital and Health Services, quality care right here, right now.
From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. The springtime is often a season of increased crime in rural communities as more people can be mobile, free of the elements. Clinton Police Chief Ben Lowers is reminding people to lock those car doors. With more people able to be out, it is the time of year when they encounter a spike in theft of motor vehicles.
Tis the season, and as we're talking about the warmer weather, the longer days, things, a lot more outdoor activity going on, a lot more pedestrian traffic, motorcycle traffic, bicycle traffic, things of that nature. And we just remind people as they're coming out of those winter blues and, getting outside to enjoy the outdoors, that they're cognizant about things around them. That again, that pedestrian, motorcycle, bicycle traffic, kids playing outside. Something that I probably complain about we don't do enough of, but love to see those kids outside getting some fresh air, getting dirty, wearing themselves down, but with that, that pedestrian traffic at all hours of day and night, it's not as suspicious now as it is in the middle of the bitter cold winter time, but keeping those vehicles locked. We've been fortunate. We've not had a serious rash of car burglaries for quite some time. And we don't want to start that now. So,
Chief Lowers indicates they do not often encounter circumstances of forced entry to vehicles, but rather these are often crimes of opportunity, people looking for those unlocked cars.
Make sure you're removing those valuables from your vehicles and keeping them locked. It's been some time since we've had an actual forced burglary to a vehicle, and we want to keep it that way. Oftentimes it is more so, I hate to say a crime of opportunity because nobody's inviting a would-be burglar into their unlocked vehicle. But, we do have individuals from time to time that are lurking out there in the middle of the night. They're checking vehicles through residential neighborhoods. And when they come across an unlocked vehicle, they're taking change out of a console or a checkbook or a purse or whatever. So remove those belongings, those valuables from your vehicles, and make sure you keep them locked, keep them in well-lit areas if that you can. We love security lights and automatic lights that come on in the dark due to motion.
Local authorities are also seeing increased encounters with loose pets. Chief Lowers reminds there is a leash law in Clinton.
The other thing that we always talk about, and I want to touch on because we have just experienced this just in the last week or so, but it is the increase in loose pets. We have a leash law in the city of Clinton, and we ask people with the additional bicycle and pedestrian traffic, those things are more noticed, and we're getting more calls about that when, we have dogs running at large and things of that nature. So keep your pets contained and keep your things locked up. Kind of a broken record that we talk about every year this time, but this kind of becomes the busiest time of year for us historically, as people get out, as I say, kind of get out, start stretching their wings from a long winter.
With the nicer weather also comes gatherings in residential neighborhoods. Chief Lowers always reminds to be a good neighbor by being respectful of your neighbors around you. A Central Illinois school district is hoping to utilize extensive green space on its campus for outdoor learning opportunities. DeLand-Weldon Schools Superintendent Dr. Michael Tresnick indicates that one of their middle school science teachers, Janelle Harper, has been pursuing funding to help the district develop an outdoor space that she and other educators can use to supplement their lessons and promote being outside.
One of our teachers, Janelle Harper, who's a science teacher in the middle school, has been aggressively pursuing various grants out there, talking to various organizations, and we're trying to establish an outdoor learning ed area, but also just looking for those of you who are drive on Route 10 and drive by DeLand-Weldon, you notice we have a lot of green space. We have a lot that we would like to work with and not just have grass growing there, but have other things growing and try to give opportunities for kids to get outside and experience different educational things. So one of the things, we're going to be building a pavilion that's been donated by the Farm Bureau. We're working both with Piatt County and DeWitt County to get that taken care of. But we're also looking at, again, all the green space. So for instance, yesterday we had a donation of trees. And so our kids were out there with shovels digging holes, and we were planting trees on the back area of the lot. Hopefully in the long term, as those trees grow in, they'll help be a little bit of a windbreak. Getting out there are really not that many trees, and that helps. And when the wind really starts blowing, there's nothing to stop it. We're going to be doing that.
In this effort, the district invited conservation experts to help them plan out what and where they can plant to develop this green space. Dr. Tresnick reminds that students will be involved in the process to give them a sense of ownership over the project.
We had some representatives from the Piatt County Forest Preserve stop by yesterday, and we talked through, they stopped by on Tuesday, and we were talking about some different options there, planting some prairie grass in areas, and also pollinator areas to kind of grow those type areas. Again, have the kids involved with this, have them see how these areas grow and how it actually helps our wildlife, how it helps our bees and everything like that. Today, I believe a representative from Pheasants Forever is coming out, and we're going to look at some of our space and can we, build an area that's for pheasants that pheasants might come into. For those of you who have been on the North Fork of the Clinton Lake, there is a Pheasants Forever plot over there. And I know the last time I drove by there, you could see the pheasants in there. I mean, it was great to see because this area, we haven't seen pheasants as much.
Right.
And so we can bring some of those things into play on our space, on our property. That's just another opportunity for kids to learn.
Reinstating FFA and agriculture education in the district has been a recent focus, and Dr. Tresnick says this will be a big help in that effort as well.
I see it integrating completely with that program. One thing you look at, landscaping and some of those ideas is something that's out there that kids get into. Well, that can be part of FFA, and we can start teaching the kids a little bit about that. I have a long-term plan. I think I've brought it up here before. I want to get a greenhouse put in there, buy that building, which would be where we would start some of these plantings, and then the kids could see us take it from the greenhouse and put it out in these plots as 100%. We're trying to build those plots. But the connection there to FFA is great. I mean, we start talking botany and how to grow these plants, sustainable gardening is something that we've talked about. And getting all those pieces and parts together. So I see all this fitting together. What's exciting about this is that we're looking at this K-12. So we're going to involve kindergarten, even our pre-K program. All of them can be involved in what we're doing in some aspect of it. And I think that's exciting. And again, getting kids out of the classroom, getting them outside, especially this time of year when they start seeing that's warming up. It's going to be 70 today. These are the type of days, hey, let's get outside and let's do something that is really educationally strong.
Dr. Tresnick is grateful to all of the groups from the DeWitt and Piatt County Farm Bureaus to the Clinton High School Industrial Tech Department who have helped them get this project moving. Learn more about DeLand-Weldon schools by visiting dwschools.org or by finding the district on Facebook. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
Hey, it's Shane from Highway 51 Exchange, your mower and equipment service pros just south of Clinton. Click our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com or give us a call to schedule your free pickup and delivery today. Highway 51 Exchange.
Spring brings brighter days and more time to enjoy them. Your home should too. At Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, enjoy one-story living and walking paths right outside your door. Spend less time on upkeep and more time enjoying spring. To learn more, click our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. The Fighting Illini secured a 16-4 run rule win over SIUE on Tuesday night at Illinois Field. The Orange and Blue jumped out to an early lead and never looked back en route to the 7-inning triumph. The hosts scored 14 runs across the first 2 innings, including 10 runs with 2 outs, as Illinois improved to 19-16 overall and 10-4 at home this season. The Illini hit a season-high 4 home runs in the contest, including 2 from A.J. Putty, who became the first Illinois freshman to hit multiple homers in a game since 2019. He ultimately went 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. J.R. Nelson notched his second long ball of the year, which came in the bottom of the first, while Jack Zebig's solo shot to lead off the second was his 4th of the year. Nick Groves posted a 3 for 5 day at the plate while scoring twice, while Will Johannes went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 doubles. Zebig also totaled 4 RBIs. On the mound, Sam Reed recorded the start, going 2 innings while allowing only 1 hit, while Luke Weber logged the win across his 3 innings of work with 2 strikeouts. After Reed started the day with a 1-2-3 frame, the Orange and Blue offense responded with a 7-run effort in the bottom of the first. Zebig's sac fly opened the scoring, while Johannes cleared the bases with his 3-run 2-out double. 2 batters later, Nelson extended the Illini lead to 7-0 with his 2-run homer to left. The Cougars got on the board in the second, but Illinois found an answer once again via a 7-run second. Zebig and Putty went back-to-back to lead off the inning, with Putty's home run traveling 468 feet. Zebig and Putty each added another RBI in the frame via run-scoring singles, which gave the hosts a 14-1 edge through 2 innings. SIUE accounted for the game's next 3 runs before Putty tallied his second home run of the night in the bottom of the 5th. The Illini added 1 more run in the 6th, while the Illini bullpen combined to retire the final 8 Cougar hitters of the night to close out the run rule win. Shane McClanahan pitched 5 innings for his first win in nearly 3 years, and the Tampa Bay Rays beat the Chicago White Sox 8-5 on Tuesday night for their 4th straight victory.
The White Sox fell 8-5 to the Rays on Tuesday night at right field, but local kid Noah Schultz, who grew up in Aurora, making his major league debut, was the story of the night as he bounced back from a very nervy first inning to thrill nearly 500 friends and family members in attendance.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. So Schultz has his first major league strikeout. Check swing on a high one. He went. That's a strikeout. The 0-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. 3rd strikeout for the lefty. Here's an 0-2. Called strike 3. And here comes the manager. So that'll be a good way to end your big league debut with a strikeout. Yep. And he'll get a great ovation when he walks off. He's hoping for a no decision. It's fist bumps from his teammates.
The Sox look to bounce back on Wednesday night against the Rays. I'm Jeff Meller, and I'll have your pregame coverage starting at 6 p.m. on the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
Tampa Bay's right-handed pitcher Jesse Schultz faces Chicago right-handed pitcher Sean Burke on Wednesday. Carson Kelly hit a 3-run homer. Colin Rea pitched 6 strong innings, and the Chicago Cubs rallied to beat the Philadelphia Phillies 10-4 on Tuesday night. Nico Horner and Alex Bregman each had 3 RBIs for the Cubs. Edmundo Sosa homered for the Phillies. Chicago broke a 3-all tie with 4 runs in the 6th inning off Tim Meza. Horner and Bregman each had 2-run singles in the inning, and the Cubs were aided by a Phillies miscue. After Meza put runners on first and second with 1 out with a walk and a hit batter, Dansby Swanson hit a hard grounder back to the pitcher that was a potential double play. Meza threw slightly off target to second base, and Bryson Stott could not make the catch. Stott was charged with a fielding error on the play. Instead of runners on first and second with 2 outs or an inning-ending play, Chicago had the bases loaded with 1 out. Horner made Philadelphia pay with a liner to center. After Brad Keller replaced Meza, Bregman knocked in 2 more runs. Rea followed opener Riley Martin, who worked a 1-2-3 first inning. He surrendered Sosa's 3-run homer to left center that gave the Phillies a 3-0 lead before retiring 16 of the next 17 batters, including 10 in a row to close the outing. Rea struck out 5 and walked none. Philadelphia got a run back in the 8th and threatened for more with the bases loaded and 2 outs, but Caleb Thielbar struck out pinch hitter Alec Boehm to end the inning. Kyle Schwarber extended his on-base streak to 15 games with a 1-out single in the inning. Kelly made it a 6-run advantage with his first homer of the season in the 9th off Tanner Banks. Phillies starter Aaron Nola lasted 5 innings, allowing 3 runs on 8 hits. Cubs left-handed pitcher Shoto Imanaga, who is 0-1 and has a 2.81 ERA, opposes Phillies left-handed pitcher Jesus Luzardo, who is 1-2 with a 6.23 ERA, on Wednesday night in the rubber game of the 3-game series. St. Louis Cardinals rookie J.J. Weatherholt homered twice. Second baseman Juan Brito allowed Mason Wynn's potential game-ending grounder to bounce into right field, and St. Louis stopped a 3-game losing streak when it rallied to beat the Cleveland Guardians 6-5 in 10 innings on Tuesday night. Weatherholt had his first multi-homer game, going deep for the first time since homering in his debut on opening day. His solo homer off Joey Cantillo tied the score at 2-2 in the 3rd, and his 2-run drive against Eric Sabrowski cut the Cardinals' deficit to 5-4 in the 8th. With 2 outs in the 9th, the win reached when his 2-hopper hit off Brito's left wrist for just the 6th error by Cleveland this season. Wynn advanced on Cade Smith's wild pitch and scored on Yohel Pozo's opposite field double that bounced to the right center field wall. Riley O'Brien pitched a perfect 10th, stranding automatic runner Chase DeLauder at 3rd when Brito grounded out. Automatic runner Thomas Ajacey advanced to 3rd in the bottom half on a wild pitch by Tim Herron and scored with a head-first slide, just beating the throw from right fielder Angel Martinez on Nathan Church's sacrifice fly. Ivan Herrera hit his first home run this season for St. Louis, which improved to 4-0 in extra innings with its 7th comeback win. Jose Ramirez hit a first-inning homer off Michael McGreevy, and with 288 moved past Bernie Williams and Bobby Bonilla into sole possession of 11th place among switch hitters. Cleveland opened a 5-2 lead in the 8th on George Valera's tie-breaking double and Martinez's 2-run double. Cleveland right-handed pitcher Slade Ciccione goes against St. Louis right-handed pitcher Dustin May on Wednesday. Jimmy Snuggerud scored twice and assisted on both of Dylan Holloway's goals in the 3rd period as the St. Louis Blues rallied from a 3-goal deficit to beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 7-5 on Tuesday night. Pittsburgh raced out to a 3-0 lead in the first period despite resting most of its regular players, including Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, with the playoffs looming this weekend. The Blues surged ahead with 5 consecutive goals in a span of just over 20 minutes, with Holloway and Pavel Buchnevich scoring 44 seconds apart in the 3rd period. Holloway gave St. Louis its first lead 4 minutes and 11 seconds into the 3rd on a wrister from the slot to the stick side against Artur Silovs, who relieved Stuart Skinner for the 3rd period and made 7 saves. Buchnevich added a breakaway goal for his 19th of the season. Rookie Avery Hayes scored twice for his 2nd career multi-goal game, and the Penguins also got goals from Rutger McGroarty, Anthony Mantha, and Elmer Soderblom. Hayes' 2nd goal pulled Pittsburgh within 1 goal with 7 minutes and 40 seconds to play. Holloway added an empty netter to secure the Blues win in their home finale. Jordan Bennington had 18 saves. Stuart Skinner stopped 17 of 21 shots before getting pulled after St. Louis scored 3 times in the second period. The Penguins scored on 3 of their first 6 shots despite resting half of their regular lineup. In addition to Crosby and Malkin, Eric Carlson, Chris Letang, Ricard Raquel, Brian Rust, Samuel Girard, Blake Lizotti, Connor Dewar, and Parker Wotherspoon were scratched, with Pittsburgh already locked into its playoff position. St. Louis concludes its season Thursday night at playoff-bound Utah. Pittsburgh awaits a first-round playoff matchup against in-state rival Philadelphia. In scores from around the MLB last night, the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Baltimore Orioles 4-3, while the Detroit Tigers took down the Kansas City Royals 2-1. The Cincinnati Reds beat the San Francisco Giants 2-1, while the Washington Nationals beat the Pittsburgh Pirates 5-4. The LA Angels beat the New York Yankees 7-1, while the Atlanta Hawks took down the Miami Marlins 6-5. The Minnesota Twins shut out the Boston Red Sox 6-0, and the Toronto Blue Jays beat the Milwaukee Brewers 9-7 in 10 innings. The Houston Astros beat the Colorado Rockies 7-6, and the San Diego Padres took down the Seattle Mariners 4-1. The Athletics beat the Texas Rangers 2-1, and the LA Dodgers beat the New York Mets 2-1. In NBA scores from last night, the Charlotte Hornets beat the Miami Heat 127-126 in overtime, while the Portland Trailblazers beat the Phoenix Suns 114-110. In NHL scores from last night, the Carolina Hurricanes beat the New York Islanders 2-1, while the Montreal Canadiens fell to the Philadelphia Flyers 4-2. The Boston Bruins shut out the New Jersey Devils 4-0, while the Washington Capitals beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 2-1. The Minnesota Wild took down the Anaheim Ducks 3-2, while the Colorado Avalanche beat the Calgary Flames 3-1. The Utah Mammoth beat the Winnipeg Jets 5-3, and the Vancouver Canucks beat the LA Kings 4-3 in overtime. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Spring just has a way of putting a little more energy into everything. Brighter days, warmer air, and more reasons to get out and enjoy it. Your home should keep up with that. At Hickory Point Garden Homes, you'll have your own one-story duplex with bright open spaces, a private patio, and neighborhood walking paths just outside your door for that perfect stroll in the spring sunshine. You can spend less time managing your home and more time enjoying the warm spring days ahead. See what that feels like at Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, Illinois, and step into comfortable living for 55 and better.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Ace now offers free assembly and free delivery, so it's never been easier to get a great grill for your family, like a Weber gas grill, a Traeger wood pellet grill, or a Big Green Egg charcoal grill. Only at your neighborhood Ace. Around the block. What you need in stock. With people who know their grills.
This is Brad from Gibson Ace Hardware in Clinton, Illinois. Stop in to see us, the helpful place at 114 North Madison Street, Clinton.
See participating store for details.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. President Trump tells the New York Post that round 2 of U.S.-Iran talks could be happening over the next 2 days. In the meantime, the U.S. military has Iranian ports locked down tight. Turning Point USA CEO Erica Kirk canceled plans to attend an event in Georgia last evening following a credible threat on her life. An appeals court panel orders a federal judge to end his contempt investigation of Trump administration deportation flights. High winds, flooding rains, and hail have battered parts of the Midwest once again, with tornadoes confirmed in Wisconsin and Iowa. Today, severe weather could stretch from Texas all the way into the Great Lakes region. On Wall Street, the Dow futures are up 15 points, NASDAQ futures down 28, S&P futures 1 point higher. More details, srnnews.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-936-5496.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-936-5496.
From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local news update. It's going to be a soggy finish to April in central Illinois. That's according to Ed Shimon at the National Weather Service, who told the Heart Media Group there is an indication the end of April is going to be very wet.
Yeah, it switches back to above normal, and even the 6 to 10 days still has above normal temperatures in there. So even that brief cool down early next week, I wouldn't suspect that's going to last very long at all, because the 20th to the 26th, 8 to 14 day outlook, solidly in the 50th to 60th percentile of above normal temperatures and above normal precip. So we have a short break in there when high pressure settles in Sunday, Monday, but it looks like they're going to have a few more storms coming back as we head into the late week into the following weekend. And then the 3 to 4 week outlook, that's where we finish out the month. April 25th through May 8th shows below normal just north of DeWitt County, actually all the way down to about Ice, Peoria, Bloomington, and north is below normal temps. So we're not going to be pegging the meter in the 80s probably as we finish out the month on a more frequent basis. And then above normal precip still in there for the end of the month, early start of May. So not a real strong signal there, just a little tip to the balance, 33 to 40% above normal precip probabilities there. But we should get some nice rainfall that's going to really take the drought out of the story almost, really. You can get the rain the rest of the month. If we get that much rain the rest of the month, we're really going to have very low areas of drought that are impactful at this point.
April is already above normal for precipitation, and with more on the way, it could ease the drought that lingered from a dry winter, which should be diminishing.
We're above normal precip for April already. I mean, I plotted the CocoRa's summary April 1st to the 13th, and just north of DeWitt County, there's a 4.92, which, normal for the month is 4.25. So some areas already have their full monthly amount of rain. And in the DeWitt County area, our CocoRa's are about 2.5 inches, just shy of 2.5. So they're doing well. It's above normal on our climatology. We're about a half inch above normal at the Lincoln office, and that includes, looks like, roughly all the way through DeWitt County. So you're above normal in precip, and I think we're going to end up above normal pretty solidly, because we're going to get another couple inches of rain, out of the next week's storms, and then we remain above normal tendencies all the way through the end of the month. So I'd be surprised if we end this month and we're not, about an inch above normal probably.
The amount of daylight continues to increase each day in April as well. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Here's Matt Hart, owner of the Hart Media Group in Clinton.
It's been great. You and Ben and the entire team are doing a great job. And we're just continuing on serving the local community, right? This is what this is all about. We're here to serve our local community. We're here to tell the local stories. We're here to cover the news. So nothing in that regard is changing. Our goal is connecting people. And that's our tagline at Hart Media Group. It's connecting people.
Hart purchased the Miller Media Group in August of 2025 and looks forward to serving the community for years to come.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
DeWitt County's #1 source for local news is on the air and online 24 hours a day. The latest local news stories are heard every hour on Central Illinois' news station, the Big 1520 AM and 92.3 FM WHOW. Stream live at DeWittDailyNews.com. They're also heard every hour on the station that's your easy choice, 95.9 FM WEZC. And to read the latest local news on your electronic device, including tablets, iPhones, and smartphones, go to DeWittDailyNews.com. DeWitt County's #1 source for local news is on the air, online 24 hours a day.
Now there's one web portal for local agriculture radio programming in Central Illinois. IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Local farm programming streamed live and archived to hear anytime. IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Hear the morning and noon farm shows with local agriculture news and interviews. IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Plus hear all of your favorite agriculture farm shows including RFD Illinois, AgriTalk, RFD Today, and the Closing Market Report. IllinoisFarmRadio.com. It's agriculture grown locally, streamed live, and archived to hear anytime. IllinoisFarmRadio.com. A service of the Miller Media Group.
You're listening to a best of segment of the WHOW Morning Show, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, this is a best of the WHOW Morning Show.
Morning Show. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom in this segment is Andrew Buffenbarger, the Chief Compliance Officer with Kirby Medical Center. Andrew, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Ben. How are you?
Good. I appreciate you taking time for me today. And I'm sorry, Buffenbarger, is that how you say your last name?
Yep. Yeah, well done.
All right, perfect. I appreciate that. So let's just talk a little bit about you and your role with Kirby Medical Center. What is the Chief Compliance Officer?
Well, it's a great question because very few people really know what that title means. So I've been here about 12 years, and over the course of that time, Chief Compliance Officer has meant a couple of different things. Right now, I'm the Director of Human Resources, and then I manage risk management, our compliance services, and our health and fitness service lines. I'm responsible for our community outreach efforts and then our health and wellness coaching.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So what does your day-to-day look like? What are some of the challenges that you face in your job?
Yeah, it's different every day, which is fun. So we have 3 CrossFit gyms that I'm responsible for. And so I might be coaching CrossFit classes in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I might have board meetings talking about compliance and human resources. And somewhere in the middle of the day, I might be recruiting providers to add to our group. So it's wildly varied, which is fun.
So how do you balance, those more administrative tasks versus, being patient facing in those classes that you're teaching?
Yeah, I think it's probably just more of a personality type, just wanting to be busy all the time. So just moving from very different tasks and activities, one to the next, is something that's always been interesting. And this job really lends to that.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, while we're on the topic of these community programs, let's dive into your role with the fitness community programs that you guys have with Kirby Medical Center.
Yeah, it's been kind of an interesting journey. So over the last 10 years, we've really leaned heavy into trying to make community programs where folks come to our campus for stuff other than healthcare. Yeah. Right? Hospitals forever have been the place to go when you're sick, and we're becoming more and more a place where you can also come to stay well. Mm-hmm. So we've got community health programs here that bring people to the campus in the thousands every month, which is just fantastic. So once we saw the interest in health programs in our community, Piatt County primarily, we started to create things like fitness services. So we've got we've got an on-site CrossFit gym. We've got an on-site, it's called a KMC Move program, where it's body weight, coach-led classes with an aquatics program. We've got medical fitness, where folks are under the guidance of an instructor one-on-one to work through weight sets, machines, and it's it's been very cool to see the interest folks have in coming to campus to stay well.
Yeah. Speak to the expertise of these people who are leading these different CrossFit classes or different things.
Yeah, we've got on-site athletic trainers, we've got exercise science specialists, we've got registered nurses, physical therapists. It's a wide range of healthcare professionals, which I think is what makes it so unique. So when folks come here and they take one of our classes, they're typically being led by someone who's got a deep background and education in healthcare.
Yeah. And do you feel like that is reflected when you get feedback from people? You know, do they really feel that expertise in the class?
Yeah, I think so. Last month, we had about 3,000 visits to these fitness programs.
Wow.
And for a town of 6,000, even a county of 17,000, that just speaks to its popularity.
Mm-hmm.
And they've grown wildly over time. So we started these programs back in 2016. We had to expand pretty dramatically in 2023 by building an 18,000 square foot physical therapy and physical fitness center here on campus. So it's something that just continues to grow on us. It's just fantastic. And I think, adding to those programs is a campus that now has a 1.5 mile paved wellness trail for folks to walk on.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got little community gardens all around, little pocket gardens. So it sort of looks like a giant park.
Yeah.
And the wellness trail sort of weaves its way all around the campus. So it's turned into a beautiful setting for folks.
Definitely. So, and these programs are not just about fitness and keeping people in good physical shape. It's also about education and making sure people have the tools to, if they stop coming to Kirby to do these, to keep being well. So speak a little bit to, making both of those things true and providing that education alongside the activity.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite topics, actually, the education side of this whole journey. We've over the last 5 years started to partner with the schools in a very meaningful way, where we guest speak at the Monticello High School health classes every semester. We started a program last year with the Cerro Gordo Middle School, where we teach weekly in the 7th grade class, where we talk about health and wellness topics.
Wow.
We bring in healthcare professionals to do that. We just started doing that last fall with the Vement School District as well.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe that was this spring, but yeah, we've started with Vement as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just recently started partnering with the DeLand-Weldon schools to come into their life science program. That's, I think, 5th grade. So, we've got a presence now in the schools where we have healthcare professionals teaching kids about how to live a healthy life, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's given us some experience where now we've been able to develop culinary medicine classes for adults, so we can teach adults how to cook healthy meals now. We're teaching high schoolers CPR, within the building whenever they come in for their quarterly educational sessions through their school programs. I mean, it's something that's grown tremendously. It's been so cool to teach kids in the community how to live healthier lives, and then we've got programs to support it.
Yeah. Speak to the importance of the variety. You're working with our littles, these young kids in the schools, but also with, our seniors and that fall prevention and those important things like that.
Yeah, within our KMC Move program, we've got silver sneakers. So we've got a lot of programs for folks who are 65 plus.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be in a classroom setting with a professional coach, and they're going to do chair yoga and simple body weight movements just to keep them active and keep those bones healthy. And within that same building, we've got aquatic therapy where folks can go hop in a pool that's about 90 degrees.
Nice.
And they're going to have an instructor. Yeah, it's wonderful. They'll have an instructor, walk them through a bunch of low resistance exercises just as another way to stay healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the theme through this whole conversation so far has been growth. These programs getting bigger and bigger, adding more on, whether it's physically at Kirby, or it's a class, speak to the growth, and not that you were not already a pillar of the community, but even becoming more so in all of these facility updates and programming updates that you guys have been rolling out.
Yeah, it's been interesting as the campus has gotten more beautiful and the health and fitness programs have expanded, so too has everything else around us.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started 12 years ago, we had a little over 200 employees. Today we have 500. And, we hired 130 people last year. So yeah, the growth to support these things has just been tremendous. And what's happened is now that folks want to come to campus to do a lot of things, they also come here for their healthcare. So we've been under construction basically since about 2018, trying to keep up with that interest. So we rebuilt our physician clinics in Atwood and Cerro Gordo. We've significantly expanded the physician clinic here in Monticello and added a quick care, which is like a convenient care. We're expanding our imaging center now to add a fixed MRI. We've moved our therapy across the street so that we can make our lab department about twice the size it was. We're adding 2 more operating rooms. So the growth has just been pretty tremendous, and we have a perpetual, 30 vacancies because it's just like we've never really caught up, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because the demand has been so strong from folks who just want to get their health care in the same place that they come to stay well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll jump a little bit more into those job opportunities in our next segment. But I'm curious, with all of this past growth and this potential future growth, where did it come from? Was it a need that caused you guys to grow, or did you guys grow and the patients came?
Yeah, it was, I suppose that it's the first more than the second.
Sure.
So we found that we were just getting busier and busier, and we were trying to keep, Kirby a place where you could come get healthcare quickly and when you need it. So we didn't want long wait times for folks to establish with a provider. We didn't want folks to wait a long time in the emergency room. And so in order for us to stay, on pace with the growing interest in our services, we've had to just add and add and add. So we've added, physicians, and we've added advanced practice providers, and we've had to add space and exam rooms, and it's been more a matter of just trying to stay ahead of it so that the services here are always as good as they have always been and the community has come to expect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll even give you a bit of personal feedback here on that growth that even I've noticed as somebody who lives in Decatur. I had an injury last summer that I ended up coming out to the ER at Kirby for, and zero wait time, nobody there. And so I'm curious, what kind of other feedback have you gotten from people who are visiting the emergency room or just visiting you for general health care on how you guys have improved the services?
Yeah, we hear a lot of stories like the one you just shared. We know that a lot of the larger hospital systems are challenged with trying to keep up with folks who come into those emergency rooms, and wait times can be long. And we feel for them. We understand that. But we've done our level best to make sure that that's not the experience that patients have here. So, we've expanded our ER staffing pretty significantly, and then we've added other services around the campus to make it so that you can get in to see your doctor before you have an emergency. So it makes it less likely for you to have to visit an ER in the first place.
Yeah.
So if you have to wait 3 months to see your doctor, chances are something's going to happen in that time that you're going to be sent to an emergency room that could have been prevented by seeing that doctor earlier.
Yeah.
So we've tried to make sure that healthcare here is something that's sufficiently supportive and reactive, that we keep those volumes in the ER low. And that means that when you do have a genuine emergency and have to come to the ER, it's available to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, once again, Andrew Buffenbarger on the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break. In our next segment, we'll jump into some job opportunities with Kirby Medical Center, as well as I'd love to jump into, how you guys have been able to make this growth and expansion happen. But first, like I said, let's take a quick break. More to come with Andrew Buffenbarger, Chief Compliance Officer with Kirby Medical Center on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Wednesday. I'm Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network. Corn and beans starting the day higher, wheat lower. May corn opening 447.5, up 4.5. July corn up 4 1/4, 456 3/4. New crop December 473 3/4, up 3 1/4. May beans opening 1165 3/4, up 7 3/4. July beans 1180, up 7 1/4. New crop November 1150, up 6. May Chicago wheat $5.88 down 3 3/4. May KC wheat, $6.18 3/4 down 4. May bean meal, $328.10 up 80 cents. May bean oil up 19 cents, 66.63. Energy market, June Brent crude oil up 19 cents, 94.98. Opening numbers on this Wednesday morning. Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network.
Spring is in the air, so it's time to choose your new Silverado. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. We have a good selection of new Silverados with springtime savings and special finance rates. Choose from regular cabs, double cabs, or crew cabs in gas or diesel. We're also allowing extra money for your trade on all new Silverados this month. Silverado, together let's drive. See all our inventory at BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Here's Matt Hart, owner of the Hart Media Group in Clinton, talking about continuing to serve the community through new ownership.
Things came together and we reached an agreement to purchase. And as you mentioned, we closed August the 1st. So as August the 1st, Miller Media Group is now Hart Media Group. And we're continuing to serve the people of Clinton and DeWitt County and Monticello and Bloomington and Decatur and everywhere, because we'll just keep connecting people as we've been doing.
The Hart Media Group looks forward to continuing to serve the community for years to come.
You're listening to a best of segment of the WHOW Morning Show, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, this is a best of the WHOW Morning Show.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
It's the WHOW Morning Show. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. We continue with my guest on the Zoom in this segment, Andrew Buffenbarger, who is the Chief Compliance Officer with Kirby Medical Center. And Andrew, we've been talking about the growth of Kirby over these last few years and just how big it's been. And obviously with that comes the need for more employees. Let's talk about, you had mentioned that you guys have hired quite a few people in recent years and you're still looking for more, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been kind of interesting. We started several years ago this Healthcare Pathways program where we bring 30 kids in from area high schools every quarter, and they learn about different careers in healthcare. One of the things that we know in healthcare is that there just aren't quite enough people. So there are never enough nurses, and there are never enough medical lab techs and that sort of thing. So in partnering with the area high schools, we've tried to generate more interest in healthcare careers. And it's really starting to pay off. So we're starting to see more and more of those high schoolers go off and pursue health education and then come back to us, which has been fantastic. So I mentioned that we have this perpetual, 30 vacancies at the hospital, and it seems like we just can't fill positions fast enough just because of how fast we're growing. And it's absolutely true. So all of the area hospitals are challenged with that same thing. And I think where that's going to have to be fixed is at the high school level, where we're generating more interest as kids have so many choices now when they go off, into different careers, keeping folks focused on being able to come to healthcare, working in positions like marketing and computer science and finance, in addition to the clinical careers like registered nurses and physical therapists and things like that.
Definitely. I feel like when I was a senior in high school and I was making those decisions, there was a big stigma with, pre-med and how intimidating that can be. And that's a really challenging thing to go into. Speak to breaking that stigma with those high schoolers and how you guys what avenues you're taking to generate that interest.
Yeah, so we work with the University of Illinois through their internship programs to try and bring in kids that are sort of on the fence on what they want to do in healthcare. So they're typically in community health and kinesiology degree paths. And a lot of times that turns into pre-med, but it can also turn into almost anything else. So what happens is those students come in not exactly sure if they're ready for organic chemistry or something like that at that next level. And here they learn that they don't have to go that route if that's not something that really interests them. There are 5 employed physicians here, but we have 500 employees. There's a lot of things that aren't a physician to do in a hospital.
So obviously being in healthcare is a very rewarding industry to be in for an individual. but what makes Kirby especially a great place to work for somebody who may be looking for a position?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So we've got employee engagement scores here that have been in the 90th and above percentile in the largest database in the country for the last 10 years.
Wow.
And part of that is just recognizing that when you're in an organization like this, people treat each other as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are safe to be their authentic self when they come to work here. And we take it seriously, you know, making sure that when folks come to work, they're interacting with people who are respectful and kind. You know, they recognize that we're each individuals and we have the right when we come to work to remain, you know, that individual. So there's not a work version of me and a home version of me. There's just me, and that makes folks comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's around here, we've found that's pretty refreshing for a lot of folks that join us.
I'd like you to build on that with, you know, the thought that of somebody who's maybe trying to decide whether they want to be in healthcare in something like Central Illinois or go to a bigger Chicago or something like that. What would be a good reason for them to stay here locally?
Yeah, I think one of the things you find is that there are virtually identical opportunities in Central Illinois as there are in any major city. So the Chicagos and St. Louis and Indianapolis health systems do all the same things that we do here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're interested in staying in an area where the cost of living is manageable and it's safe and the education is good,
mm-hmm.
your kids are going to go to a wonderful public school, but you can still do basically anything you want in healthcare. This is a great place to be.
Definitely. Well, if I had a medical degree, I'll tell you, you convinced me already.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, let's, during this interview, we've been talking lots about the growth of Kirby Medical Center. And I'm curious if we could just review what that process has been like for you. You know, how have you guys been able to make this happen? That's a pretty tall task to do all that you guys have done.
Yeah, I think we've had the benefit of having the same very bright CEO for the last 25 years, who is also an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been very fiscally mindful over this period so that we're growing in response to identified needs. You know, we're not building it and hoping they come. There's a lot of strategy behind it, making sure that we're building things that we know folks are going to need. And we're doing it in a way that doesn't overload us with debt. So it's been a matter of just being very mindful that we're doing this slowly over time. So I mentioned we've been under construction since 2018, and our current project has about 3 years left on it.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that'll be it for a while. But you know, it's grown in stages and it's grown carefully. So, you know, that's kind of how it's happened, is just making sure that you're not building too fast and too far and getting out ahead of yourself.
And just about our last minute to go here, I'm wondering if you could highlight what is still to come with that current project. What do we have to look forward to?
Yeah, our fixed MRI will be done in the next month or so, and then our imaging suite will finish its build out at the same time. Lab has just finished being relocated and broadly expanded.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next step for us is to just start bumping out the backside of the building so we can add 2 operating rooms.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 already. And really, once that happens, we're going to be able to accommodate many more surgeries at a time, and access is just going to get better. And right now, that's where our focus is.
I'm sure you're making that sound a lot easier than it really is, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, changing the hospital is pretty complicated.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're just about out of time, but before we wrap up, Andrew, where do people go to find out more about Kirby Medical Center, from all of your different community programs to the healthcare opportunities?
Absolutely. Yeah, kirbyhealth.org is your best source.
Absolutely. Once again, that is Andrew Buffenbarger with Kirby Medical Center on the WHOW Morning Show.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, along with 92.3 FM Clinton and 106.5 FM Bloomington Normal.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Mediators are moving closer to extending the U.S.-Iran ceasefire due to expire next week. The extension would allow for further diplomacy, which President Trump says is in the cards.
In a phone call with the New York Post, the president said a second round of talks with Iran could be happening over the next 2 days. He initially told the newspaper they would likely be held somewhere in Europe, but later suggested that they could be held again in Pakistan's capital. Last weekend's initial round of talks ended without an agreement on Iran's nuclear ambitions, which the Trump administration says is a central sticking point. Greg Clugston, the White House.
President Trump claims that China has agreed not to provide Iran with weapons amid reports that Beijing was weighing such arms transfers. April 15th, tax deadline day. Economist Steve Moore says the refunds are higher this year. He credits Trump tax policy.
People are seeing a nice reduction in their income taxes. People, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, the lower tax rates.
Moore with the Committee to Unleash Prosperity tells the Salem Radio Network the average family gained about roughly $2,000 on a lower tax bill this year. Pro golfer Sergio Garcia apologizes for losing his cool during the final round of the Masters.
Garcia hit a bad tee shot on the second hole and twice slammed his driver into the turf. He also slammed the club against a bench and broke off the head. The Masters had an official issue him a code of conduct warning a few holes later. It's the first time the conduct policy has been issued at the Masters. Garcia says he respects and values everything about the Masters and Augusta National and regrets the way he acted. Bob Agnew reporting.
On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are up 42 points. NASDAQ futures are flat. The S&P futures 4 points higher ahead of this morning's opening bell. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Advantage Gold, America's #1 precious metals company, is sounding the alarm that a storm is coming and that now is the time to diversify your portfolio before it's too late. That's why we're offering an emergency gold and silver protection kit valued at $49, absolutely free for anyone who calls today at 800-900.